but there was two guys on my tier who ended up getting their time back. They swore they were innocent.
What was the craziest injustice that you heard while you were in there? Because I know you must have heard some wild ones, man.
Yeah, I did. I did. I know two particular cases. There was it was a national case. You may have heard of him, a guy named Kirk Bloodsworth. He was from the state of Maryland, and I think it was back in the late '80s, possibly to mid '90s. He was charged with, I believe, the rape and murder of like a 7 or 8 year old girl. And yeah, so it was really bad. He got his sentence was sent off to a very serious prison in Maryland, House of Corrections, which is no joke. That's in Jessup. It's used to be, I don't know if it still is, one of the top 5 worst prisons in the nation, and it was not too far from where I was at. So he was there. Some time later, DNA exonerated him because exactly he did 7 years, and when he came out, I mean, he was on Larry King, and I'm like, how did he get through the cut doing 7 years as that kind of a charge? That's
You
a
know,
pretty
the prison. They didn't treat him that great. Those guards were a little rougher on him.
he didn't check in or anything, which checking in means going to like protective custody or the chicken farm or the chicken coop, we call it. The guys would check in over there. Some guys had to check in, like former correctional officers, former police officers, things like that. They have to. They're stuck there.
Yeah.
But other guys, like he didn't check in, and he actually somehow survived it. So I give him credit, man. I mean, that guy, he's got a unique story as well. That was probably one of the most known ones that I've heard. But there was two guys on my tier who ended up getting their time back. They swore they were innocent. They were convicted of a rape charge. And we were all like, wait, what? And they pulled their paperwork out, as you're supposed to show what's going on. And when it's shown in the paperwork how the district attorney, when the lady on the stand said, I don't know either of these two guys that are over there, called a recess, took her into the back, she comes out and says otherwise. And the DNA was two different guys as well. And this case infuriated me because they were good dudes. One of them, he just got out. I think he did 14 or 15 years. 14 or 15 years. And he was innocent the whole time. And his other buddy that was with him, same guy, and he used to say it all the time. He goes, man, I'm not even mad because I'm in here for something I didn't do. I'm mad because I'm in here for something that I couldn't do. He's like, this is crazy. So he did about 4 or 5 on his and got his time back. I mean, the Innocence Project got involved with these two, and they were right across the hall from me, one cell over on my tier. And I knew them. These were, you could tell, innocence is empowering, and they might have been the Andy Dufresne of the place, the one innocent guy that I knew. So those are probably the two most egregious ones that I remember, one that I'd heard of and one specifically I knew of. Yeah.
And I don't care what they give you for money or compensation. You can't get that time back. And like you said, not only is point A and point B two different places in a spectrum of situations, but there's all kinds of little points in between that you just can't get back.
No, you can't. I mean, they could have stopped. I got to pause sometimes, so I don't want to say their names. But yeah, these guys, you never know what it took from them. You never know, and that's the what ifs. And it's like, no matter what the compensation is, like you said, it's just not enough because you give it all back for a couple more days. Like if they lost family members, which I'm sure is a good possibility, being 14 years for the one and 5 for the other, you don't get that back. And that's time that you'll never have with your family again, especially when it's a completely blatant case of, injustice and that kind of miscarriage right there. I'd feel like prosecutors like that should be judged more harshly because they know the laws. And if you're polluting them for your own personal gain or to get a notch in your belt or whatever it is, I think it's despicable. They should lock them up and throw away the key. And they should have an example made out of people like that because they're always talking about making an example, but it's always the people that aren't in charge who don't know others. So that's what makes me really, really sick to my stomach, because justice is lopsided. It's all about who you know.
Yeah. Well, then it's no longer justice.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what you call it at that point, but it's not injustice. It's
When you pathologize a rational reason to lie, you leave a little piece of hell for everybody to experience.
yeah. I mean, there's nothing good that comes from the absence of truth. I mean, you might be making yourself feel better, but who's that helping in the long run? You're tricking other people into believing something that's not true. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's no real win-win for something like that.
Well, you're on the wrong journey too, because once you start lying, you're living a whole nother existence that has nothing to do with the journey you're supposed to be on. So I don't know, man. These prosecutors, they're literally they're escalating the negative aspect of what's happening to society, and like compounding the problem.
Yes, I believe that you're 100% right, and a lot of it seems like their standpoint is almost propagandized in a way to make it a better package. It's like, and I get it, that's their job. They have to sell their side of the story to a jury or a judge, but whatever happened to just, like factual stating of the data. I mean, we see that in the media today. It's like people know they're being lied to in so many different outlets and they're rejecting it. So there's more of an awakening of consciousness now to that aspect of there's a lot of people lying and they can tell.
When you try to twist reality, it does have to come back straight again. It will snap back in your face. I'll be honest with you. I look at you taking your plea deal and stuff. It's kind of like you owning your scenario, and maybe that's one of the reasons why you only did a third of what your time was.
No, actually, it gets better. I was supposed to do about 14 to 17 on that, but I ended up getting back to court and I was able to get some time back. And again, this goes to not being a knucklehead when I went to prison. When I got there, I was like, man, I don't want to get out and then start to work on myself, because if I do that, it'll be too late.